Welcome to Regulation Rundown. If this podcast was a credit score, Alayna, we'd be an 850.
Well, we love that. And I think there's a huge conversation happening in the credit piece right now. I think it's on everyone's mind because credit reports are expensive. They're so expensive as someone who had to recently pay for one,
Mm-hmm.
which feels crazy because I
Yeah.
can go on every single credit card I have and get a free
Your
credit
bank.
score
Yep.
from my bank,
Yeah.
from my credit union, from my credit card, from my student loans.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we paying $500 for them?
Because there's not that many options, right?
Exactly.
And it's definitely weird too being in a space where like there's like breaking press conferences about exciting mortgage regulation news, like there was last week around all
Yeah.
of this. Like it's definitely I don't know if surreal is the right word, but different.
Yeah, it's
So,
interesting to see the focus they're putting on housing, and I think it's important because, we are still in an inventory shortage. We have a
mhm.
lot of issues, and affordability in housing is a major problem, right? Being able to buy a starter home almost doesn't exist anymore,
Yeah.
right? A lot of people are going into it with the mentality of this is our forever home,
Mm-hmm.
which is very shifted
You're right.
from historical kind of norms. And with that as well, I think one of the things that is interesting about the credit score news from last week, and I think Rich Serbinsky did a really good job outlining this in his
Mm-hmm.
post of just kind of the complex nature that's going to happen out of Vantage Score,
Mm-hmm.
right? And FICO and Vantage Score not being judged as the same thing from Fannie and Freddie is going to
Right.
cause major issues
Yeah.
in terms of pricing tables and how you pick up loans and all of
Right.
that. And it's already kind of confusing for borrowers, like
Yeah.
trying to explain to my husband why, like what
Right.
score they were taking
So
and
now you just pay for
why.
two different credit pulls, right? Like it's, yeah. I
Um,
guess maybe that'll save you money, but to your point, it's not making the process any less complicated.
yeah, and I think that's the
Mhm.
bigger piece
Yeah.
is, we're looking for, I think in when you talk to operations leaders, they really want to streamline this process. And that's actually where the financial savings are for both the financial institution as well as the
Yeah.
borrower. And this isn't doing that.
Well, I would push back on that. I'm of the opinion um, that complexity is a moat, right? Like, do
Mhm.
mortgage lenders, do realtors, do people in the process want this to be less complex? Because when it's
Probably not.
complex, you need
A guide.
expertise, you need a guide, right? And that's job security for a lot of the people that have been doing this, right? You're
Mhm.
going through the home buying process now. It's complicated, and you
Yeah.
know this, and you've taken courses in
Yeah.
mortgages, right? Um,
Yeah.
the So I think what's going to happen, in my opinion, if I were a betting man, is someone is going to. I am, by the way.
You are a betting
Um,
man.
someone is going to figure out a clearer, faster way of running a mortgage operation, borrower experience, whatever, and everyone's going to be forced to change, right?
100%.
So I think that's pretty much what's going to end up happening.
100%. Yeah. And I think on the note of you being a betting man, I'm going to use it in this episode because there's a clear transition
Yeah.
here. Is so we at Lodestar Settlewise have this lovely tradition called a betting dollar, where we bet on random things,
Mm-hmm.
things that will happen in conference calls and all of that. And I
Number
owe
of
Jim,
clients will sign in a month or something like that.
I owe
Yeah.
Jim $1. So we're going to do this on camera so you can all see. It's a crisp $1 bill. You know,
Mm-hmm.
came from the
Excited.
bank.
Thank you very much.
Some cash money, as it were.
Mhm.
Um,
Ooh, signed by Steve Mnuchin. There we go.
woo! Yeah, and I think to the point you said is it is a very complex process, and I feel like it's funny because if I hadn't gone through the courses I'd gone
Yeah.
through, one, there's no way we would be doing the crazy, appraisal gap coverage
Yeah.
and all of that we will go into more on regulation rundown, or not regulation rundown, full disclosure of like my home buying journey and
Yeah.
all that. So I don't want to spill all the tea here, as it were. But I think that's a huge piece is
Yeah.
it's not actually getting more straightforward for the borrower. If
Yeah.
anything, I think a lot of this is confusing borrowers because it is making major headlines
Yeah.
and you don't know what that means. What's the difference between FICO
Yeah.
and Vantage Score on the back end of a
Mhm.
mortgage? Does it matter to me as a borrower?
Right.
Maybe, but
And
probably not.
now, like, how do you even know? Do you have to run both,
Mhm.
or you know?
So I think overall, I think it's the bigger question of like, are we focusing on the right things.
Mhm.
Construction, I think, is a big piece we're also focusing on, and that is being talked about a good
Mhm.
amount by this administration.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we should spend some more time there.
Yeah. More houses.
More
Yeah.
houses.
Apparently inventory has improved slightly.
It
It hasn't come
has.
down just yet, but well, depends on.
I mean, there's a lot of inventory gaps, though.
Yeah.
We got a lot of margin to make up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's a big piece. And I did see something that Taylor Morrison is actually shifting
Mm,
more to build to order,
mm,
rather than kind of, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but
mm.
maybe cookie cutter houses that we're seeing more and more. I mean, there's a lot in our area. You see the townhomes pop up, and you're like, this is the same townhome set as the
What?
ones down the street.
Why is someone going to pay $800,000 to live here
Yeah,
in a townhome that looks like that? Like,
yeah. So I think we're seeing a little bit more push towards that, and I thought it was really interesting.
mm-mm,
There was a full write up in Housing Wire about their increase. I think it was around 36% in
mm,
built to order properties. So I think we're going to see more building. So yeah, that's it. I think that's all I got for regulation
yeah.
rundown.
Very constructive feedback. Pew, pew, pew. Get the dad jokes going.
We're all sorts of punny today.